Hello there everyone and welcome back. I guess I finally succumbed to playing with orcs there, and I'm gonna do something a little bit bold for I feel it's not gonna work out very well, and that is the torpedo lance centric type of fleet with a rock there to serve as a little bit of durability and distraction. The reason why I say this is not gonna work out very well is that the upgrade that allows the saps to have a slow effect doesn't work quite properly, and the torpedoes, at least the dumbfire torpedoes that do straight damage, does not penetrate through armor. Whether that's intentional or not, I seriously doubt it's the case. So we're going to be getting hindered on multiple fronts with that said, never mind how quickly these ships are likely to break, as well as fall apart on the morale front. So on the plus side though, with my sheer hit point pool and close range firepower, I still have decent firepower with the heavy guns on the broadside. If I can somehow get close, I could do a lot of broadside damage and of course a little bit of good ramming damage for good measure. But the priority here, I want to say, is going to be doing boarding damage if I can get away with it, especially with the torpedoes. And again, like I said, this sap upgrade doesn't work as it's supposed to here. It's supposed to stack the duration for every single sap shot you put on the target. And since my 6 cruiser fleet has 12 of them, it would normally be a 12-second duration with what, 15-16 second reload time? So I don't need to tell you how amazing that sounds on paper. It's 16 seconds, so cutting a ship's speed in half for almost the entire duration of the sap's recharge is quite significant if I can at least consistently hit the same target. Although, now, how it currently works with the bug is it stacks the slow effect instead. And the reason that's a problem is because stacking constant amounts of 50% slows is a diminishing return, whereas the additional duration is at least consistent. Just to give you an easy example, if I sap like a chaos ship or a strike cruiser, we'll just say it goes 200 unit speeds, I believe. So first sap brings that down to 100 unit speeds a second, and then the second one brings it down to 50. It's a slow, gradual diminishing returns, which in all honesty can be useful for like plasma bombs and even like torpedoes. But let's be honest, the tractor cannon is so much better for that purpose if you want to try and force them to take hits that they don't want. So the additional duration is a lot more convenient. Never mind, yeah, it's just so much more convenient and probably better for getting in close. That way you don't have to rely on the tractor cannon so much. Hell, I would almost argue you may not need the tractor cannon if this upgrade works as it's described here, which gives you a little more freedom for something else perhaps, like the shock attack mega cannon, which I'm going to try and use for, since as I said, boarding is my main strength. But since I haven't really played with this fleet all that much, Waaagh Song might be better, but the reason I'm experimenting with the Death Skulls is, interestingly enough, the Sneaky Luda skill. Every time I do boarding troop damage, that is 20 points of hull damage, and keep in mind, that is 40 hull points considering I kill 2 troops at a time. Assuming they're not using the Call to Arms trait, and with the 10% chance to do an additional points of troop damage, we're easily looking at the possibility of these things doing more damage than the regular torpedoes. Especially with that realization that the torpedoes no longer have their armor piercing trait, which is a big damn deal if I want to actually kill anything the proper way. But, like I said, I don't seriously expect this is going to work, but I'm going to give it a try, and hell, actually, let me swap out these brutes. I don't think I need them there. As fun as they would be there, I think durability in some form is probably key. Although it comes down, do I want the onslaughts or the savages with that said? Because lightning strikes actually would be pretty handy, and onslaughts are a little more reliable, sure. They're ultimately better damage because of their accuracy trait, but I just like savages. They're fun. You want to get reckless with them, and the critical hit chance cannot be neglected as well. Although the light cannons are a decent chance as well over time. So we'll stick with the onslaughts for a time being and see how it plays out. Alright, we're face off against Tau, and this can definitely be, well, with that said, this is the Tau merchant fleet, so it's possible we may be dealing with like a heavy auxiliary type of fleet. But in all honesty, the Tau protector fleet is probably in some ways better with the auxiliary fleets. Especially if you're going to be relying on a flagship that's going to hide in the background and just avoid getting killed for the ambassador, what is it, the Watercast ambassador trait? Which sadly doesn't really give immunity to morale anymore, or immunity from breaking morale, I suppose is the accurate thing to say, but it's still going to be impactful. And I am seriously wondering if that's what we're going to counter, with that said. And with that said, how useful would it be realistically to try and... How useful will my saps be slowing them down? Because I don't honestly expect torpedoes to hit unless I'm already in point blank range. And I really do want to use the Waaagh song there. It can be really damn impactful, especially if I'm close enough to the flagship. Since keep in mind, this is within detection range, which is the 4,500 unit range. Keep that in mind. So, if they're in a tight ball like this, that works out nicely. And I never did group these ships, did I? Damn it. There, problem solved. Now, the big question is what the Rock's supposed to do. It's not going to be very helpful, I suppose, against the seeker missiles if that's what we're dealing with. And I do want a stasis bomb to give me a little bit of time, but sadly I don't have any, well, this is also merchant fleet, so the boarding should not be all that great. So maybe I can get away with the shock attack for a stasis bomb. I'm probably going to regret it, but let's at least stick with what the strategy is with this fleet. Probably a stupid idea, but with a lack of fighters, that doesn't help me a whole lot anyway. So what do I predict here? These could be demiurgs, that's always a possibility. Hell, I should just destroy the deck since again, merchant fleet, possible auxiliary. And I'm going to be doing boarding. So they're all capitalist ships of some kind.
You got it, boss.
So I want to say those may be, well, they could very easily be cruisers. I'm just trying to do math in my head. The battleship is almost technically cheaper than the cruisers when you consider that, well, with the gravitic hook anyway, since you're normally going to want frigates anyway to kind of help ensure seeker missiles can connect with a scanner pulse. Even though it may be unnecessary to have 3 of them, that's always a possible case, but I don't know, I am just trying to figure out how the hell I can make this work. Since my sensors aren't really all that great either, it's a bit of a problem. To really maximize my, maximize my saps, but that shouldn't be a big deal until I'm ready to try and get aggressive with like boosters anyway. And I do have 6 charges of torpedo, that's always that's something to keep in mind. I seriously doubt this will do a lot, but hey, it's like I already said. Dumbfire torpedoes are not really useful, so let's just start burning them. At least the armor penetration is not that helpful.
Here we go.
And so we have a frigate. What kind of upgrades? No upgrades on the frigates.
You got it.
Frigate's gonna take some hits, sure. It's gonna dodge them, but there is another subtle bonus to firing torpedoes like this if you have the foresight and willing to sacrifice a charge for it. It hurts them in a certain direction if you aim it properly. I may not have really accounted for it the best, I will be honest, but still. Alright, so these are all regular cruisers, which thankfully, the broadsides aren't all that terrifying. And I should have held fire, dang it, but we can fix this. We can fix this, so let me just watch for saps to start firing. Well, I'm gonna have to spot them first. There, slow this thing down as much as possible.
You have seized a strategic area.
Now, I do have tractor cannons, let's not forget about that. And deck's already destroyed conveniently. Actually, I just want to ruin these things' day. At least attempt to.
You got it, boss.
Now, ram, murder, and board. Most important is the boarding. And thankfully, we got generator hit, so... let's not get too excited yet. And sadly, this looks like a lower level fleet. At least I'm noticing basic upgrades.
Move that junk.
Now, while we have our fun with them... oh, stasis bomb, so...
You want us over there?
where's the flagship's already all sorts of screwed. And remember, I do have broadside weaponry, and I am currently in lock-on stance. So I am actually hitting that flagship a surprising amount.
Boss, we smashed up.
Oh no, I could be wrong. They have proper upgrades that are actually something I should take seriously. It's the fact that there's no actual fighters that they should concern themselves with some.
Here we go.
You have accumulated 25%
Now,
to strategic.
everyone get in there. We got some boarding, that's always a plus. And I'll worry about these guys later. Oh god. I'm gonna ram myself. Abort. Abort. I may be enjoying going recklessly, just recklessly charging them a bit. So this is not exactly what I was expecting. Tau can very easily be terrifying with really good critical hits. So what do I think may have gone wrong there? Just not revealing my ships and bombarding me with secret missiles, maybe. Although in all seriousness, it is entirely possible for these cruisers to dodge some secret missiles without using my big red button. It's just very unlikely. You have to do it almost perfectly if you want to dodge the secret missiles.
You got it, boss.
And if I do successfully dodge them, then I have such an easy time having them circle around me. Hell, I think the last time I played as Orks, I even think we even demonstrated that. I want to go so far as say.
Boy, get to work, you lazy gigs.
But that was not a result I was expecting. It's what every Ork wants to see happen, let's be honest, but it's the question of how the hell did that happen? Did I do something right, or did my opponent just let it happen?
Fight is over here.
I don't know what to tell you. I'm just as baffled as maybe some of you are. It's still fun. Just fly right at the enemy and hopefully murder them. Especially with a ridiculous looking shock mega attack gun nose. Now if only I had blinking red lights for the holiday season, huh? So yeah, they weren't full level 10, so they didn't have the repair drone, but that wasn't going to help them very much, let's be honest. With how quickly I was going. And they didn't have the ambassador, which they did not utilize the auxiliary fleet. So I don't know what to tell you there. And Manta bombers, especially with the merchant fleet, I think is a terrible upgrade, because keep in mind, they have the same boarding potential, the same boarding capacity as the Adeptus Mechanicus, at just killing one troop at a time. So when you're going up against something like Orks that have a lot of troop resilience, that's a big deal. And keep in mind, that rock did avoid a lot of critical hits because of its damn immunity. It could be like just the lack of experience on my opponent's end, but if these things absorb all the fire, especially all the things that have like good chance of critical hits, or they're relying on critical hits, that works in my advantage amazingly, because then all my other cruisers, my main brunt of my fleet, are completely unhindered. Because let me just emphasize my point a bit. Does the rock even have that trait? Yeah, there it is. So it's multiplied by 3 the chance of getting critical hits. So on top of that, fire assaults also do double the damage. And when you factor in that the rocks are also immune to critical hits, outside of boarding, that's the big exception. It's not true immunity. So if it loses like a third or 2/3 of its crew, or even just killed straight up, it's going to suffer a lot of fire assaults. And why am I not really concerned about that? Since I have no reason to burn the emergency repair anyway. this is almost always in theory going to be available to me. Outside of maybe called arms, if I feel like preserving the troops might be more beneficial to me, but even then, I might argue that might not be true. So this is almost always available to deal with said fire assaults. But if I don't have it available, this thing is going to break just as quickly as any other Orc ship, let's be honest. It's a lot of the reason why I personally feel like you should have at least one rock in your fleet, but that may again just come down to your opponents not being experienced enough to try and avoid them, so they can focus on the rest of your fleet, but at the same time, that sort of gives your rock freedom to just be a big distraction or a big massive roadblock if they choose to ignore it. Ooh, chaos. This might be interesting. And I don't recognize what kind of chaos portrait that is, if I were to be honest, but it's certainly not of the 4 ruinous powers. So at least we have that going for us, that they're not using the unique skills that's available to them. It's still a question of, how do I realistically expect this to work? Although, the saps can be incredibly useful still in combination of tractor cannons, so even though they are diminished, they actually are going to be pretty useful here. Since Chaos don't have the convenience of like Imperial Navy or Mechanicus to kind of recharge the boosters, and they don't have drastic mobility outside of their combustion gauge. So if my opponent carelessly uses the combustion gauge to try and get away from me even while slowed, I'm at least hindering their mobility just on that alone by a big margin. I gotta keep in mind though, if they are all lances or long-range firepower, I am gonna suffer a lot of critical hits and hell, so much so I'd rather have these ships just hang back and let the rock take point. Although if my opponent is disciplined enough, they can very easily shoot around the rock. Let's not kid ourselves. And I forgot to group the second group again. I like doing it this way, keeping it grouped up like that, because of course, one of my biggest weaknesses is no fighters and very low point defense, but if somehow all these ships are able to group together and concentrate their point defense, in some situations, they do have better point defense than like Imperial Navy in some of them. Outside of the fighters that I'm currently lacking. I want to make an argument anyway, but maybe not with battle cruisers. Actually, I think with 12 points defense I may have the same amount as regular cruisers. I could be wrong, since again these are battle cruisers and not regular cruisers, so they have slightly more point defense as a result of that. I do honestly need to double check to know for certain. Otherwise, let's get going. Let's see. The only thing I got going for me is probably lack of experience, so if you want me to be put, yeah, you really have to try for these victories. Well, I don't want to jinx it saying I'm going to win this, because we are dealing with perhaps one of the more mobile type of factions in the game due to the convenience of their combustion gauge.
You got it, boss.
But it definitely doesn't give this an accurate image, even if I do win with this fleet, because I feel like the bugs are a huge hindrance to this fleet, and I really would love to try them when that's actually fixed. And also let me hold fire with that said, because staggering that shot's so damn important, and it's something I did actively try and do with the Orc sap fleet before the saps were changed to be, or at least given their quality of life change.
You got it.
And it feels kind of convenient. I think I can almost count on one hand the number of matches I played with this torpedo type fleet.
Yeah.
I think I did one video with it during my focus with Orks, and then I did maybe one other match in a stream, and that's pretty much it. So 4 matches, I want to go so far to say. And I don't really care about being detected.
You want us over there?
I just want the rocks to absorb the damage though, ideally.
We's ready.
The enemy has seized a strategic area.
Although I probably could have at least tried not to get stuck. That's always a factor, I suppose. And another thing to keep in mind, these rocks are actually faster than pretty much any other Orc ship in the game currently with their 200 speed. So my opponent can get caught off a little bit, but I do wonder if this lots of threat red button thing is working as advertised, because when I activate, you'll notice I go 600 speed and not to 800, which is what I'm assuming I would go. Now I am in range, so let's get this going. Oh, I didn't want to do that, but dang it. I want to have my frigates boosting, but oh well. Let's just boost. Yeah, if they want to make this easy for me, sure. I don't know what to say otherwise. Because the Rock's definitely taking a lot of damage, but that's kind of what I want the Rock to do. And shields were not penetrated, so keep that in mind, they did absolutely nothing. And yeah, the one thing I got going for me is the fact this thing is just taking so much of the fire for me. Alright. Just let these shoot. And let's see if I can fire some boring torpedoes. And the good thing about boring torpedoes is I could just fire them almost recklessly. And even if they hit my own ships, I'm not getting punished at all for it. And I should have waited till it actually broke, if truth be told. Well, this is interesting, isn't it? And good God, oh my God, the thing just turned around, is threatening to ram ourselves. What the hell is going on? This thing is already dead and I'm just now about to ram this battleship? I know I have a ridiculous amount of stats, but I don't have any proud mega cannons, keep that in mind. I only have light cannons for demolishing this thing, and somehow the battleship is dead. Their damn flagship is already dead. There may be another glitch going on or bug, because I cannot for the life of me understand how that's happening. I don't need to tell you how effective the tractor cannon is, though. It's getting a little bit silly. And this boring torpedo's gonna hit. Well, that was quite a bounce, wasn't it? Oh well. Let's use the one ability I've kind of been neglecting most, and that's the ramming speed. Uh-oh. When I said ramming speed, I meant ramming the enemy, not myself. Even with my best attempts, I still rammed myself. This is just getting silly now. I don't know what to make of this episode. Yes, we are dealing with less... Oh, I don't want to be so rude to say less experienced opponents, because I'm pretty sure I played against my Tau opponent before at some point. And this one, understandably, I want to say is like a newer player, because just having the convenience of Slanesh, Nurgle, and all that is definitely better, even if you don't plan on using their unique upgrades and skills. It just gives you better options, and there's you almost always should have their factions or sub-factions just for that reason alone. So I don't know what to make of this anymore, and you're just gonna burn to death. Oh well. This rock practically did what it needed to do. And actually, I should just grab points. I have an overwhelming lead, but let's use these frigates for something else. Hell, I didn't even lose a single cruiser just yet. But let me just boost morale on everything that needs it. I was thinking of using rally, but that's not necessary. And actually, let's go reload to get faster boosters too, with that said. Because it looks like they're already running from me. I hate to break it to you, you probably should have done that before. Actually, let me just burn the charge on here. That'll kill off the third of the crew. We got a tractor cannon, which is going to be amazingly effective here. And if I could kill the shields, although that should just boost away from my torpedoes, potentially. Well, it's bored to death either way, so it's not going far, folks. Trust me on that. Especially with the saps. It's only a 1 second duration, but it's still doing world of damage to the hull.
Orks is best.
And this onslaught,
The fight is
these,
over here.
yeah, just these orc frigates in general are basically the best frigates in the game. We're pretty damn close. They're only limited by the fact they're so easy to critically hit and get fire assaults, but again, since their components don't really get destroyed, there's outside of a scare pulse, there's no real reason to
You have seized a
use
strategic
the emergency
area.
repairs unless it's absolutely necessary. So let's see if we can kill this thing. Do I want to burn repairs now? With that said, probably.
Get to work, you lazy gigs.
Grab the objective.
You got it.
We already got this point
You
conveniently,
want us
so
over there?
let's just hunt them down. It's going to be a slow process, but it's still technically in range.
What do you
Only
want?
weakness that these things have otherwise, despite what I talked about on the increased critical hit results on fire,
Red button.
is just their 50 armor on the side makes them incredibly vulnerable to ramming. And I might as well lock on with that said.
Wheels ready.
If you want to be so accommodating, I suppose I'll accommodate you.
Yeah.
I don't know what to make with this fleet anymore. I feel like it should succeed, but then again, I'm having the easiest time getting close range, which alleviates a lot of the problem orcs will have. So please only take these matches with a grain of salt. This is purely for entertainment value. So much so I want to just ram your ass right now. Let's see who blinks first. I got the ram. I got a good, well, I forced a repair, but it's at least not hitting me is the only thing to note. So that
You have
works to my
accumulated
advantage.
75% of strategic points.
And you guys get some shock attacks, saps, to finish this thing off in style. And hell, with lock on, I think these guns also have decent range. Yeah, they have decent range, not the best range, but it's good for orc standards, I suppose. But really, of course, it's the saps you want to hit because they never miss. So the best counter to dealing with dang, oh, I should have tracked can, I suppose.
Orks is best.
I suppose, because
Over here.
our opponent's just dragging us out.
Wings ready.
And hell, they're not even using silent running either, which
Faster, you grunts.
could help them a lot in trying to avoid me.
You got it.
And I don't know if they have a mission dissipator either,
You want us over there?
but I'll have these 5 points. This mission battle will be over in another 2 minutes. We just gotta reveal it, which my opponent's not boosting. Another symptom of not having a mission dissipator. I am gonna run you down in a moment.
Load that junk.
Hell, I don't even need a tractor can. Let's just finish it off gracefully. Although, my guns are not hitting because it's conveniently turning.
Orks.
So now we have to get to the shields still, dang it. Alright, fine, I'm not going to give you the decency of a proper death.
Orks is best.
You have seized a strategic area.
I'm just going to let you fly into the torpedoes.
The
I
enemy has
apologize, fella.
accumulated 50%
I
of
could not tell you
strategic
how the hell I
points.
destroyed that battleship so damn quickly. I know I have boarding upgrades to do troop damage to it, but even then, that was a mega shock attack gun, right? I don't know what to tell you what the hell happened there. I'm just sorry, I don't want to ruin your day. This fleet's just somehow just steamrolling everything right now. Ooh, this is going to be fun and incredibly terrifying because if we're dealing with Pyracid, this is probably going to be a very quick match and probably not in my advantage. Because if I'm going to be relying on boarding damage, that's going to be a very slow process, especially with Tyranids having the ability to instantly regenerate their crew. Although I don't recognize this opponent, it's possible they don't know how to get the most out of their fleet, but if there's anything I'm going to suffer in a game of boarding, it's going to be Tyranids. Let's be serious. My luck may end here, but the Rock, at least it's immune to the the Pyracid critical hits, so that can work in my advantage, and I have ridiculous ramming potential. It's just a question if they have massive claws, which is going to be awkward to try and work around that. since I don't have a high energy turn to make that easy for me. And I kind of want Plasma Bomb. There's a lot of skills I would like for this type of matchup, I'm not gonna lie. Tractor Cannon to try and herd them into a certain direction, so that way if they are using Massive Claws, I can easily have their side facing me or just deny a ram altogether. I would like Plasma Bomb for additional damage after they burn their charge. There's a lot of things I want out of this. And apparently I did, oh no, they are grouped. I just did not group these guys properly, apparently. Again, this is becoming a very bad habit. I am not liking it. Alright. Either way, I got torpedoes. I think I know what I want to try and do, as silly as it may sound. Although, my opponent's not done deploying yet, so keep that in mind. What I have in mind is I'm actually going to fire torpedoes right away to keep an eye out for when the torpedoes are getting shot down. This is my first actual attempt trying to do this with torpedoes, let alone without short burn torpedoes. But if I'm smart, and if I pay close attention to how quickly they're getting shot down, I could gauge on how many cruisers or at least capitalist ships might be in that area. Although, again, if this is a less experienced opponent, they're probably going to fly into the objective and give away where their hive ships and battle cruisers are anyway. So let's not get too excited just yet. So Beacon's going to go over there out in the middle of nowhere. I know it's completely useless.
Here we go.
And these guys are going to fire torpedoes. I didn't change my upgrades. That's a bit of a news. I didn't really think about my upgrades in all honesty. I was thinking about my skills.
Fight is over here.
Since I don't think saps are going to be very helpful, but boarding damage, sneak and loose is probably decent. Not amazing, I guess, since we're not dealing with...
Boss.
They still have decent armor, I suppose. And Krakens are going to be almost immune to regular dumbfire torpedoes anyway. So,
Wings ready.
even with that said, what would be good upgrades? Well, Waaagh Song is, without a doubt, probably a go-to if we're dealing with Pyre Asset. And again, I just want to watch for these torpedoes getting shot down. This I do not like because it's a little unnecessarily clumped up, if I were to be honest. But, and I haven't been really hearing any rushes. I just hope my opponent didn't go AFK on me. So even if they're in this blind spot, torpedoes should get shot down, just probably not very effectively.
Orks is best. Faster, you grots.
So we notice up there. Okay, we got indication. In fact, I think we may be hitting something. Alright.
You got it, boss.
We got indication of something.
Yeah.
That's all I can say here.
Faster, you grots.
It's not much of an indication, but I like to think that was helpful. And I want to say there's a crack in here, because otherwise, well, at least a single frigate, because otherwise you figure more torpedoes would get shot down. Now that I deduced kind of where they are and maybe did some damage on them, how the hell do I proceed from here? Because we need to figure out the weapons they're using. We want to try and get what damage we can early before engaging, ideally too, because I feel like I should not win this engagement with their boarding potential. And that's confirmation of Pyre Asset. And actually, there.
Enemy ship sighted.
I don't care about slowing them all that much.
Orks, orks, orks.
Now let's just get in there and scan everything.
Enemy ship sighted. We'll get 'em, boss.
And ideally, actually, can we just ram this thing to death? Because it is immune to fire assaults, keep in mind. This thing is amazing for dealing with the Kraken, what is it, these abilities here. It's just boarding damage that could be a concern.
The enemy has seized a strategic area.
You got it, boss.
Alright, so that's 2 down. It is going to slow me a bit, but... And I accidentally held fire. I don't want that.
You want us over there?
Alright,
Here we go.
let's just ram this thing to death, shall we?
You got it.
Oh, I was kind of hoping that was boring torpedoes. I was just clicking mindlessly. And I am slowed, but
Over there.
I do have repairs. Keep in mind for any fire assaults that might be a burden.
Orks is best.
The enemy has seized a strategic area.
Move that junk.
Well, you want to... sadly, I am using my boosters quite recklessly there, or at least not as effectively as they could.
Retro's on.
And these are also massive claws, but again, I have a lot of armor here.
Full speed.
And you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna have you help me kill your light cruiser.
You got it, boss.
This is a bit of a mixed-up fleet, so let's not get too excited for our possibilities here.
Police ready.
And I have heavy guns. Keep that in mind too.
We smashed stuff on the enemy
So long as they ram my prow, I'm okay, arguably.
You got it.
You have accumulated 25.
And this is a terrible idea by my opponent because you don't have crushing claws.
Great work, boss.
So guess what happens when I ram your prow?
Faster, you grots.
Although, let's negate that morale damage, shall we?
Full speed. Police ready.
This is not going to be
Move
pretty.
that junk. Mordecai.
So, I don't know what to make of this game anymore.
You got it, boss.
What is this crazy world I'll live in? Where somehow I am demolishing Tyranids even in close range.
We stopped the
Sure,
enemy
it's not a consistent, synergized type of fleet, but still, what is this world I'll live in?
It is what Orks do best.
And I do have enough morale that even if the flagship were to get killed, I'm still in good shape. Especially with them, breaking morale. Because in all honesty, even if this was like a pirate asset type of hive ship fleet, again, if they were silly enough to ram me head on, I'm still doing a significant amount of ramming damage to them.
Over here.
I'm just being slowed down quite a bit in these spore fields, is the only thing of note. And I'm waiting for these fire assaults to expire, damn it.
Boss, we got
Nothing makes sense anymore. My head's even more broken than somehow winning against an Azuyani mirror match, or Azuyani mirror match, when I'm relying heavily on pulsars to get victory. I give up. I goddamn give up.